I'm Jumbo, I'm Thomas.
Growing up, Thomas spent all day working on a farm in Kenya.
I would work hours and hours every day because I needed to earn money for my family.
Some years, Thomas would work really hard, but his family wouldn't make money.
When there's bad weather, pests and diseases, plants die, and farmers have no way to make money.
This was a big problem, and Thomas wanted to help.
I wanted to make life easier for farmers, to give them a safety net.
And that's why he decided to start Pula. Pula is an insurance company for farmers.
Basically, if a farmer loses crops from a bad season, Pula gives them money to replace the lost income.
Yes, farmers won't get punished for bad weather because Pula helps them.
Farmers are the reason we all have food, so it is important that we help them to be able to earn a living.
This is a genius solution. If we can have life insurance, car insurance, flood insurance, then why can't we have farmers insurance?
Great question. And with that said, Thomas takes us on a journey into a beautiful Kenyan farm on the countryside. Please welcome Thomas Njeru of Pula Advisors for his turn with the judges. Thomas, you're welcome.
Thank you.
The judges are all yours, and so is your audience.
Okay, thank you. I spent the first 18 years of my life on a farm where I witnessed firsthand the impact of climate shocks on the yields of farmers. At first, we were always one drought away from poverty. But my situation was not unique. In Kenya, every year, 1 to 4 million farmers, or Kenyans for that matter, have not enough to eat. In Nigeria in 2021, because of climate shocks, 7 out of 10 Nigerians did not have enough to eat. Down to south in Mozambique, due to the cyclone in 2019, over $800 million was lost. So east, west, south, the story is the same. And the impact? Farmers are deemed too risky to access the investment they so need to improve their yields and consequently income. You'll be surprised. The average farmer in Africa, maize farmer, gets about 2 metric tons per hectare. Compared to their peers, for instance, in the US, they get 11 metric tons per hectare. To make matters worse, the traditional insurance industry has not been able to serve them. And that's where Pula comes in. We make insurance for smallholder farmers possible, crop insurance, livestock, disaster risk financing, as well as providing data and digital solutions. Our solution is very simple. First, we define a yield guarantee per area. Then we go to the field, collect thousands of data. Then if the actual yield is below the guaranteed yield, we pay the difference. And as such, we've created the largest yield database on the continent. We are the leading organization in protecting smallholder farmers in the world and have been able to unlock $1.65 billion in investment in the sector, reach 10 million farmers, work with 90 insurance companies across 18 countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. We do not sell insurance to farmers directly. Instead, we embed it in programs because insurance is needed but not wanted and charge 20 to 30% of our premiums. As a result, we've been able to make $9 million last year and have a goal to get to $100 million and to unlock $5 billion in new investment in the next 5 years. We are driven by the most recognized leaders in their space who recognize the importance of agriculture insurance in unlocking agricultural investment. For instance, our chairman, the founder of M-Pesa, Michael Joseph, and I hope all of you join us in this mission to unlock agricultural productivity on the continent.
And now the Q&A. This time we start off with Joe, and then to Bukun and Diane.
Hey, Thomas. Great presentation.
Thank you.
This whole farmers insurance, agriculture insurance business intrigues me. I'm an outsider. I don't really understand it. But there is a saying in Chinese, 靠天吃饭, which means you rely on the sky, or if you're religious, you rely on God to make a living. That's what farmers are, right? And so you are insuring against these unforeseen weather conditions or droughts or pest infestations and these events. But by and large, I mean, you have to have broad coverage in terms of geography, because these events, whether it's weather or pests infest, it's systematic that affects all farmers in one region. As opposed to, you know, if you're insuring against life and sickness, those are unique incidents. So you have to have a very broad coverage of how does that work? You know, if you just insure a group of farmers in one region, everybody gets wiped out, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. So fantastic. So in all my career, I've been in insurance, and I've worked in life insurance, health insurance, car insurance. And in Africa, we have a concept of Ubuntu, where we contribute to each other if things go wrong. Now, in a small village, if one person dies, gets sick, they can contribute to each other. But if there's a drought, it wipes out everyone. So that's why I decided to stop all the work on other insurances, and I realized that one of the most important part is agriculture insurance. Now, how does it work? We pool the risk across different countries. We are currently in 18 countries. And the idea is that you are able to price the cost of the risk, pool them, and then we aggregate risks across 18 countries, and then we place them with international insurance. As I said, we work with about 90 insurance companies local, and then 24 reinsurance companies globally, who are able to pull into one pot. And for the last 5 years, our loss ratio has been stable. This is the claim to premium ratio at about 60%. So effectively showing that our risk pricing models are actually sustainable, and we've been able to get it right. Of course, there is the element of climate change, which is a whole other story, that every time we have to adapt and update our risk pricing algorithms to make it better.
Yeah. And you talked about yield guarantees.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? You collect yield data, and then you sort of estimate what the crops can do as an average, and then guarantee that?
Yes.
And how can you be so accurate in predicting what the yield looks like?
So great. I'm an actuary, so we rely on historical data. So we collect a lot of data. We have thousands of people who go to the field and collect actual yield data. But then, also, of course, we rely on also experts, agronomists. And our insurance is actually group. So a small village, if you plant maize, you get a guarantee. So if you're planting maize of this variety in this village, you're guaranteed, say, 10 bags. Then at the end of the season, we go to that small village, sample. We don't have to visit all the farmers in that village. Sample about 50 farmers, statistically significant sample, collect the data, get the average, and statistically you compare the average and what you guaranteed, you pay the difference. Whether it was because of a flood, whether it was because of a drought or a cyclone.
Yeah. And so one more quick question. Do you use AI in predicting weather patterns and things like that? Tell us about your usage of AI, or if you haven't done that yet.
So we do use it, and use it at several levels. The first thing is to do the pricing. And the pricing is just to understand the patterns or the variables that affect the weather. The second part is to do the clustering, because we have to understand what is a village, right? So we use historical rainfall, humidity, soil maps, different data variables, K-means clustering, and then you create boundaries so that to create a homogeneous group, that if you plant maize in this area, then you actually do expect the same yield. And then that's the second part that we use AI. In terms of predicting what will happen tomorrow from the weather perspective, weather forecast, you can get it right to a certain extent. So for us, it's about looking at the past, understanding the trend on average. I cannot predict whether it's going to rain tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. All I can tell you is that in the next 5 years in Rwanda, there's 100% chance of a drought. And then I price it appropriately. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Fascinating.
Thank you.
I like your singularity of purpose, because I think when you put it in context, the number of Africans who are involved in the agricultural sector and the openness of the market, if you solve it, you win. So you're a smart guy. I can see that.
Thank you.
Okay, now tell me your worst scenario that you've been through. What's the worst thing that's happened with your clients that hit you?
Oh, that was a flood in Nigeria.
Yeah. How much did you lose?
$10 million. Yeah.
And how much? Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, so the total loss was $10 million for our clients, but luckily we always make sure we have protection behind like layers.
Reinsurance.
But of course the problem is with the insurance companies, they also have knee-jerk reactions. So every time such an event happens, they tighten the market, they increase the rates. And now actually we just raised our Series B, $20 million. We want to set up our own reinsurance company because some of the reinsurers cannot see the bigger picture. Like they just look at it from, we just paid it. But for us, we can see the full portfolio across 18 countries and we can see it's stable. So we are confident enough to actually start taking the risk. So basically consuming what we cook.
So you want to insure and you want to also do the reinsurance.
Yes, so we will still use the primary insurance companies who are our partners, but then they front it or they front the risk to our back-end reinsurance company, which we own, just to make sure that there's an element of stability in the reinsurance ecosystem. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so $10 million paid to the farmers in Nigeria.
Yeah.
How much of it hit your own business, considering how much you've made so far?
So as I said, we are not a risk taker. But what I will say is that despite even paying $10 million, for instance, last year we made about $30 million in premiums. So if you look at in aggregate, the total claims, there could be a flood in Nigeria, but it's okay in Uganda, right? So the premiums from other countries, the problem comes with our insurance partners in the local country. They become very jittery. So actually the reason also we are pulling the risk is that to allow our local insurance partners to start taking up some of the risk at the global level to ensure diversification and they can see the value. Because otherwise the problem when you take a risk in one country for agriculture insurance, just one event, like, we also paid a big claim in Pakistan. The Pakistani floods where a third of the country was immersed in water. Yeah.
Okay. And after you did that, the question I want to ask is, when the price is adjusted and it went higher, how did your uneducated, illiterate farmers, how did they respond?
So actually, it is some of our reinsurance partners who had knee-jerk reaction and wanted to increase the price. But we have a pool of 24 to choose from. Because I do not think just because you've paid a claim, the price has changed. It just means that an event that 1 in 40-year event has happened. So it doesn't mean you should change the rate, the premium rate. And that's a problem also with insurance, the traditional insurance mindset. Every time there's a claim, they jump to increase the rate because it doesn't mean the risk has happened. It's just an event that has happened. But you need diversification not to be able to react to that. So what we do is, in that instance, is we drop one reinsurance partner and pick another one until, let me use the words, come to their senses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, your customers were protected from the increase?
Yes. So okay. we deeply believe that the smallholder farmer should be able to get the best they can get in the world. That's our philosophy, right? The best rate they can get in the world. So it's actually enabling the smallholder farmer to access the global risk markets wherever they are.
And you're sure you can maintain that status quo?
So, come up again?
That you will always have the ability to protect them from, because that's a standard reaction in insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as we are pooling, so if, like this year, we're going to collect about $20 million, $60 million in premiums, right? So I'm able to pay up to $40 million in claims. So if there's a risk, $10 million in Nigeria, $3 million in Kenya, and then some countries won't have any event, like they'll have a bumper harvest. So their premiums will fund, so I'll be fine. So it's a game of pooling the risks, but at a global level. Because at country level, agriculture insurance does not work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, Thomas, thank you. I think this is very inspiring. I concur with Ibukun. Very smart.
Thank you.
And looking at your claims ratio, that is pretty much stable, and your profit margin also stable. It shows that your predictive models are quite accurate. So, well done.
Thank you.
Not many people do that. And I understand it's the law of large numbers.
Exactly, statistics, yeah.
Yes, this is a basic statistics, so well done. Now, I was looking at your expenses,
yeah,
and even try to understand who your customers are, because you're not selling to the farmer, right? You have aggregators, governments, etc., that are your customers.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't understand, when you have few customers that are aggregators, why do you have that so high marketing expenses? So that's one. And I also understand, and you said it very well, insurance is not bought, it is sold. So how do farmers understand that somehow they get their insurance premium paid? And are you able to also bundle this insurance with financing? Because this is another big problem that smallholder farmers face.
Fantastic. So in terms of expenses, just to explain, so we have 6 core markets which are scale, right? We started in East Africa, West Africa, and Southern Africa. So 6 countries that are at scale with a profit margin of 30%, making $2 million in profits. And then we have 12 markets, because it takes time to get scale in new markets. And that involves a lot of sensitization from the field at government level to different. So there's a lot of selling, working, and collecting data, especially collecting the data. So that takes time. So the $2 million you make in the 6 countries gets fully eaten up. That's where those expenses are from. It's the cost of distribution. Like actually engaging a new market to get it to scale, you have to do a pilot, collect a lot of data. So that's where the expenses come from. So your second question was about?
It was about, how do smallholder farmers know that they are paying premium?
Oh, fantastic, yeah. So we do a lot of sensitization and creating awareness at the farm level. If you remember in my presentation, I talked about data and digital products. So the data we collect help us to know what farmers are getting and why. So they are getting in a village, you see some farmers getting 10 metric tons, others 2. So we analyze that data and start giving them information how they can be better farmers. And it is through that, creating that relationship digitally, through also radio campaigns, then we also say, okay, actually this information is powered by Pula Insurance. So we're constantly creating that awareness, and we've actually started seeing in the next 4 years, we'll start actually doing B2C in some of the countries because the thing is, once they see you pay them, they see it works, then we'll be able slowly and build that relationship with the farmers. Then eventually, so B2B, B2G is our first step. But if people see value in insurance, but besides that, you're just not offering insurance. I say insurance 1.0 is protecting. 2.0 is also increasing their incomes, right? And that's why the data and digital solutions are so important for us.
How about unlocking financing?
So that's our core business. Our core business, if you think about it, we work with financial institutions, right? We work with about 60 or so institutions that are providing credit, loans to farmers, off-takers. I can name a couple, right? But the main thing is this. You'll find most of these institutions, before they could not be able to raise money or get approval to lend into agriculture, because the question was, why are you sure, how do you take care of production risk or market risk? And that's where we come in. To create stability, predictability, to attract investments. That's actually why we exist, at the core of it. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
One last question. You said your fees are embedded in the programs. Who owns the programs?
Oh, so what we mean is, so if it's a
The
financial...
premiums.
Yeah, so if it's a financial institution giving a loan to a farmer, then it's embedded. So you get a loan, so your loan is, say, $100, and then there's $5 for insurance. And then when you advance the money to a farmer, then $5 come to us to pay for insurance, and then the farmer gets $100.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.